How should you conduct yourself in a telephone disability hearing? I'm Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm a Social Security disability attorney representing clients in all 50 states. And since COVID-19 pandemic started, Social Security has moved to telephone hearings, soon to be video hearings, but right now we're doing telephone hearings, and that process, that procedure may continue indefinitely. I don't know. Before COVID, we did live hearings where you would be in the same room with the judge. Now these hearings are being done by phone. So you need to prepare a little bit differently for a telephone hearing than you would a live hearing. And let me give you my thoughts after doing dozens and dozens of telephone hearings and kind of identifying some of the mistakes my clients have made. Obviously a learning process for everybody, but I just want you to be aware of some of the issues that have plagued telephone hearings so you can avoid these things. And in no particular order, these are my observations. Number one, make sure you have a clean and clear telephone connection. Realize when you do a telephone hearing, there's going to be 5 people on the line. You, your attorney, the judge, a vocational witness, and a hearing assistant, and in some cases a medical expert, but typically it's going to be 5 people. And 4 of those 5, the judge, your attorney, the vocational witness, and the hearing assistant, will be using landlines, wired connections. And many times you may be using a cell phone. So anytime if you've ever done a conference call, when you have 5 people on the line, even if everybody's wired under the best of circumstances, the connection may not be all that solid, and you may find there's a little static or maybe a little bit difficult to hear. If you're in a cell phone, that can be magnified. So if you are using a cell phone, what I would tell you to do is before the hearing, do a test. Have a friend, borrow a friend's phone, call your phone and see how your friend sounds. Is the transmission clear? Can you hear that person clearly? You don't want to be using a speakerphone. You don't want to be using a microphone or a Bluetooth microphone unless it really works well. But test it out to make sure that the connection is good. And if you're working with a 2005 flip phone that's been you've used for the last 15 years, you may look at renting a phone or borrowing somebody's phone because you want to make sure the transmission is very clear. But I would say that's something that you want to do. You want to test it before the hearing, because if you have a connection that's not clear, that's going to frustrate the judge. And I can't tell you how many times I've had a hearing where the connection is really staticky. You can't hear but every other word. Many times judges just go forward with the hearing. They want to get it over with. They don't want to reschedule the hearing, but you're missing out on getting your words heard if the judge cannot hear what you're having to say. Number 2, when you speak in a telephone hearing, you want to speak slowly and clearly so that the judge hears every word. Unlike an in-person hearing where there's body language, the judge can, sometimes people read lips, they didn't realize they're doing it. In a telephone hearing, you've got to speak a lot more slowly and a lot more clearly. So don't feel, it may sound even a little bit unnatural, but if you listen on a tape, it sounds actually normal. So speak very, very slowly, speak very clearly to make sure that every word you say is heard, and take your time. Don't feel like you have to rush through it. I think sometimes people in conversation can speak very quickly, but in a hearing you want to speak slowly so that the court gets a good record of it, number 1, and number 2, the judge hears you. Number 3, and this is a big one, do not interrupt the judge. I've had hearings, and I had one just recently, where the judge would start to ask a question, and my client would kind of anticipate what the question was and jump in and try to start answering it before the judge finished. And judges don't like that. Judges, they're judges, so they expect a certain level of respect, and they deserve a level of respect. And even though you kind of know what the judge is saying, so the judge is going to say, I want to ask you about the last 15 years of work you've done, so tell me about the last, and before he gets out the last job you did, you start to interrupt, well, the last job I did was what? You don't want to do that. Even if you know it's coming, let the judge finish his or her statement, and if you ever find the judge saying to you, Mr. or Ms. So-and-so, please let me finish my statement before you, or my question before you jump in and answer it, that means that you're interrupting. Sometimes you may not be aware of it. You may be come from a household or a culture where that's normal. Well, in a disability hearing, it's not appropriate. So don't interrupt the judge. Make sure that you let the judge answer, ask his or her question, that you answer it very, very clearly. I think a fourth thing is you want to practice your testimony with your lawyer. One of the things I do with my clients is we go over all the questions that I know are going to be asked. For example, in every hearing, the judge will ask about past work. And so I'll ask my client to describe every job he or she has held in the last 15 years. And we practice how to answer that question. If the judge is always going to ask you, why do you believe you're disabled? And they want to know in a very short, 3 or 4 sentences why you're disabled. That needs to be prepared ahead of time so you can answer that question quickly and cleanly. You don't want to be thinking about something for the first time at the hearing. So you know certain questions are going to be asked, or your lawyer knows certain questions will be asked. Make sure that you prepare and practice those answers. And fifth, and this is going to sound like a broken record if you've seen my other videos, you go in there with an attitude that you hate the idea of pursuing disability benefits. You're a fighter. You don't want to be here. This is the last place you want to be at age whatever. You've not given up, and you'll go back to work as soon as you can if your medical condition allows it. If you go in there with an attitude of entitlement, like, I know I'm disabled, judge, pay me, or you say things like, before I became disabled, I did. No, because if you say before I became disabled, it means you've concluded you are disabled. That is a legal conclusion for the judge. So don't go in there with the idea, I'm disabled and you owe me something, or you need to prove my case. You want to go with the idea, I hate the idea of being disabled. I don't want to do this. I'm here only because I have to. And work was fulfilling to me socially, financially, personally, and this has been really, really frustrating that I can't work, and I'm willing to try to do anything if my doctor releases me, if I can get my condition under control, and that's my goal. You tell that to the judge, and the judge believes that. That may make the difference between a case that's kind of right on the edge, whether the judge is going to approve it or not, because, again, these judges are very aware that people, when they get on disability, rarely come off it, and it's going to put the Disability Trust Fund on the hook for tens of thousands of dollars over your next 10, 15 years, or until you hit retirement age. So anything you can do to reassure the judge that you don't see this as a long-term situation will be a positive. It may turn out to be, but you want to give the judge the idea that you are fighting this every step of the way. Visit me online at ssdanswers.com. I have a free Secrets to Winning Disability Survival Kit. You can also ask for a case evaluation. If you thought this video was useful, please give it a thumbs up. YouTube, like it on Facebook, and hit that bell so you'll be notified when I release a new YouTube video. You see, I've got several hundred of these videos out here, and I try to get one out every week, and I want you to be the first to know if something pops up. So Jonathan Ginsberg here, wishing you the best, and stay safe out there. Hi, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to know more about how to win your Social Security disability case, I'd like to invite you to download my Secrets to Getting Approved Early Survival Kit that I created just for people like you. Currently, I'm making the Survival Kit available at no cost, and I encourage you to grab your copy now. Some of the topics I cover include, how do I know if I have a case? Is it the right time for me to file my claim? 9 common mistakes that can doom your case. The 3 must-have arguments you use to win your case. And a topic that every disability claimant wants to know, how to avoid trick questions from the judge. If you or a loved one need to win Social Security disability benefits, you'll find the Survival Kit essential reading. Download your Survival Kit right now and at no cost. Just visit ssdanswers.com/survival and sign up. It's that easy. Please act now. And as always, I wish you the best.